Hello all. In this video, we are going to see how we can edit an image from scratch to final. Let's start with it. Firstly, we are going to open today's folder into which we can see a couple of images. All these images are from the same property. If we look at the kitchen area, we see lots of yellow color cast into it. It is looking a bit dark because this is inside where the outer natural light is limited, and due to lamp, yellow is reflecting everywhere. Due to this, the wood color looks saturated and it is hard to identify the right color on it. If we have to identify the right color, we have to look at the darker shot, which is this one. If I zoom in over here, we see the right color of the wood. So uh, we always have to look at the darker shot to see the right color. Same if I open the second shot, this one, same with this one, same issue which I've talked about for the first one. So if we go for the living room area, this one, in this living room shot, we can clearly see the right color. It is because it doesn't have any color cast. It is, quite easy to edit. If we look at the window door over here, uh, we see less details on some parts. So we have to manage this thing. And the bedroom shot is looking good and easy enough. Every single objects are muted in terms of color in this image. So these are the images which we have discussed about, and we will keep in mind one thing, that we always have to remove blue color cast from the images, because blue color cast indicates cold and we have to make it warm and welcoming kind of image. Whenever we are working on white images like this one, we always have to make sure that we have to add warmth instead of making it too white and bright. Because if we are going to make it too white and bright, that will give us an artificial look. So it's better at the end we should add a bit of warmth on it, or with the help of color casting we can add a bit of warmth. So let's start with the process of editing now. Step 1, importing images to Lightroom. For this, we have to open today's folder, which I have already opened, and we have to click and press on Ctrl A to select all images and drag and drop it onto the taskbar Lightroom icon over here. So for now, I'm just editing this image, so I'm going to select it and drag and drop. But as you can see, this is showing a cross mark over here because this function is not enabled in Windows 11. So it is only available in Windows 10 and below it. So what we can do, while selecting and dragging, we have to press on Alt tab to go to Lightroom and drop it onto the library panel over here. Now press import. Step 2, stacking. So now we have to stack the image. For this one, we have to select all images, right click on it, stacking, auto stack by capture time, and it's supposed to be over here 2 milliseconds, and stack. Now you can see this have uh, stacked onto each other and showing me number 2. If it is like 3 exposure image, it should have shown me 3. So now we are going to move on to the next step, step 3, which is HDR merging. So for this one, we have to right click on the image, Right click on the stacked image and you have to go to photo merge and HDR. So as you can see in my HDR merge preview panel that I have checked on auto align auto settings because we want HDR when our image is merging we want it to be auto aligned and some settings would be applied automatically. So degauss amount supposed to be none for now because whenever there is some movement in the image, like for example, we have an external image and in lighter version we have someone on the pedestrian walking on point A and on the very dark exposure of the same external that same person is on point B. That means when we are going to merge the image, we will see a ghost effect of that particular person. So at that time, we have to use low, medium, and high accordingly. So in this manner, this HDR panel is able to merge that person properly. So we don't see a trail of that single person. We don't see a ghost image. So it looks very natural and good. We have to check that images properly merged from every corner. We have to check that there is no sign of ghosting. So this is looking good for now. Now I'm going to click on merge. Now as you can see we have merged the image and we have a new version created over here with .dng extension over here. So now as we can see this image is full of yellow color cast because if you will see over here we see very this is white in color but we are not going to make it too white as I said before. There is a bit of difference in the cabinet color, like over here we see the right color, this one we see more yellow because of the lighting. So we are going to reduce the yellow color cast and over here if we look at the floor color this has been changed a lot because this is not the right color. If we go back to the darker shot like I said before that this is the right color of the wood as we see over here. So this is like more saturated. We are going to reduce the saturation and vibrance over here and this much, and we've got some blue color cast over here. As I said that we don't need blue color cast because blue color cast always tells us about that how cold the image is looking and it will not look much inviting. So let's start. So uh, step 4 is lens correction. So we have to go to the develop module over here because we see the adjustment only in the develop module. In library we can just import the images. Now for lens correction I'm going to go down here, lens correction over here, and I'm going to go to profile correction. I'm going to switch on remove chromatic aberration and enable profile correction. So this option is going to remove that chromatic aberration from the image and this is going to uh, remove the vignetting effect from the image. Like you see that when I'm switching it on, all the dark corners are like waving off from this corner. So this is what we have to open and now we have to align this image. So for this one we have to go down to the transform tab and from here the very first thing is we have to use the auto because sometimes while clicking on the auto we get the right result but sometimes we don't. So on in that case when we didn't get the right result by pressing on the auto button we have to do a couple of manual adjustment from here. So auto and let's check the okay this is looking good but I think this is like from both corner from left and right it looks like it is going outside loud from this side left and this side right. So what we can do to some portion of the image, we are going to reduce the scale amount over here, and we have to click on the constraint crop, because this constraint crop will crop all these white borders like this, and good. So we are done with the lens correction. Now step 5 is tonal adjustment. We have to scroll up to the basic panel. So here you see the adjustment has been already done. It is because at the time of HDR merging, we have clicked on the auto adjustment, that have made some auto adjustment, but this is not always right. We have to do manual adjustment in this place. So first thing is, we always have to reduce the vibrance and make it 0, because if you will look at the image, the when we make the HDR merge, at the time it have given us too much of vibrance, so this will reduce the excess vibrance from all of the image, and this one we have to make 0. Sometimes it is towards the portion, so now we have to make it 0 0 both sides. To get the tonal adjustment done, we have got some couple of sliders over here, which is exposure, contrast, highlight, shadow, white, black. So we have to make it accordingly. So as I can see, my image is bright enough, good enough, but still some areas are looking pretty blacks, and like the shadow is too much. So what we can do over here, we can slightly increase the shadow, so we can remove excess black, and removing blacks will also ease up ease up the editing. So slight upward over here also. We will try to decrease the highlight, because the area which is like blowing up in terms of details, we can get back the details with the help of highlight slider. And whites, increasing whites is not good enough in this image, because the more I increase, the more I get bright part over the whites, so it's better I just make it 10, which is good. We have to add on a bit of contrast, because the I've removed too much of shadows and blacks from it, and this is going to control that thing. So it's like more. Maybe I have to decrease a bit of exposure overall. Okay, this is fine. Now I am going to press Y button on keyboard. As you can see, this is a comparing window over here. We can compare the image from before to after. So I can see this has too much of color on the right hand part which we are editing. You can see there's too much of color onto the floor, which is too yellowish. So this is what we're going to reduce now. But before that, we have to do some adjustment more. So while doing some adjustments, we also apply brush and masking in order to balance overall lighting. So what we can do, as we can see, this is too bright enough, the floor. So in that way, it is like saturating a lot. So if we can drop down the brightness onto it, the saturation may get lower down. So what we can do from here, the masking, we select the brush, and we drop down the exposure and try to brush on it slightly. Highlight down, a little bit of more exposure down, minus to remove. Sorry, I have to click on the present feather flow, supposed to be this much. Make sure you always press done, click on the done, because without pressing it you cannot complete whatever you have done with adjustment brush. So click on it. Now step 6, which is white balance and color balance. So there's a tool called white balance sector tool over here. Select it, and you know the the way I'm moving the white balance selector tool onto the whites, you can see the live result onto this window, that it is showing me that what the color cast I'm going to get if I'm going to press on certain areas where I'm moving my white balance selector tool. So to take casting, we always have to choose a mid-tone area, because if we are going to take casting from the lighter area, it is going to give us very high cast over here, over there, and the darker, very different cast. So it's better we just use a mid-tone, and that mid-tone supposed to be the white area. We cannot take the casting from the colored area, from here. This is here also we can take the casting because it's white in color. This is from this we cannot take. So from here we will take the casting. Okay, this is good. Okay, whenever we take casting, it is not like that we get the right color cast. Sometimes we have to adjust the temperature and tint manually. Like even after taking casting, I see, if I press on the Y button to open my comparing window, I see that uh, there is more red onto the white over here. So what I can do, I can simply decrease the tint more towards the green. So it's -6. I can make it -8 over here, and temperature, this one. Okay, pretty good enough. So I have done the white balance over here. Let's go down, slide over here. As I told that this image have too much of vibrance. What we can do, we can slightly move vibrance towards minus to decrease the overall vibrant colors, which are more prominent and vibrant in this image. So slide down. Okay, this is good. If we look at, okay, good enough. We are close enough to the raw image. The color which the raw image have. Step 7, final touch-ups. So if we are left with the, like, if we want some more brightness to be applied, and if some area have more color, we can do it with the help of it. For this one, we can click on the masking over here, create new mask brush, and I can take a bit of exposure, and I can simply apply it over here. Create new brush, and this time I'm going to take vibrance down, or maybe saturation down. So over here, slight saturation down, and I'm going to apply it onto the wood over here, a little bit over here also, to decrease the effect of yellowness. Don't have to remove excess saturation from the image, because if we remove the excess saturation, we may get a result of, we may end up with an image which doesn't have any details into it. It looks very grayscale, so it's better you use the saturation thing a little less. We've got some blue over here, so again a new brush, and this time I'm going to increase temperature, and let's put it over here to reduce that blue. Then let's one more time press on Y to open the comparing window. Okay, now we can see that we have adjusted image into a proper manner. It's looking good now. Okay, so step 8 is we have to maintain consistency with same room images. Like if I have done one image with accurate colors by matching it with the raw, I take that image as a reference to check it, that is it looking good enough, is it the consistency level is fine or not, the colors are good enough or not, the brightness is fine. So these all this consistency we can check, but for now, as I haven't done any shot of this room, so I can leave this step and move on to the other one. Okay, so as we have sorted many more issues in the Lightroom, but still there are a couple of issues which are left here. Like you can see that we have got some clips over here, and these clips need to be removed, which can be only done in Photoshop. Still there is some more blue over here. Uh, this one, slight brightness selectively we have to put, and still we have to manage some color onto the floor. Maybe slight popping framing is required, and there is too much of noise because after removing blacks, shadows, it has given too much of noise over here. So this is what we have to remove, and maybe we have to darken this wall slightly more, and we have to match both cabinets onto the right side and this one. So all these things need to be done in Photoshop. So step 9 is exporting image with the right settings. So let's export it. Right click, go to export and export. From here we have to see the settings that what we use. Under file settings, it's always supposed to be 100% quality. Under image sizing, we don't have to resize it now, so we have to leave it as it is. Resolution supposed to be 300 ppi, and that's all. Now we simply have to click on export. So we have to open our today's folder. Here I see Lightroom have created an edited folder, and from here into this one we see our exported image. Let's start editing this image in Photoshop. Step 10, importing image in Photoshop. So this is the image which we have exported from the Lightroom. Simply going to drag and drop. While holding drag and drop, you have to click on Alt Tab, go to the Photoshop interface and drop it over here. Now, as you can see that we have to remove these clips from this image. Overall, I think this is looking slight darker, and this need to be brightened. We see a bit of redness still over here. We have to reduce these redness. If I zoom in this image, I see lots of grains everywhere, and that need to be removed. There is a stain mark over here which need to be removed, and alignment is fine. Maybe slightly is required. So let's start with the things. Step 11, adjustment like brightness control, light bleed adjustment, white balance, color balance, noise reduction, sharpness. All these need to be done. So let's start with it. First of all, we are going to use brightness. For this thing, I'm going to the adjustment panel. From here I choose brightness and control and increase brightness slider, close it, control I to invert it, I go over the tool panel and select brush. I take the opacity 12%. This is because I'm not taking the higher opacity. The higher I take, the more I get the patches. So it's better we just always drop down the opacity value to 12. So it's supposed to be 100. You can increase and decrease the size of the brush from here if you want. So let's add up some brightness. I'm just applying on the ceiling first of all to make it brighten. Slight brightness over here also because we have to make it bright. We don't have to leave it look darker. Over here and here. Okay. Now as you can see over here, uh, you see that I have applied brightness, which is looking really great. I don't see any patches because I have used opacity 12% opacity. So this is the result of the brightness. Let's merge it. You can press Ctrl E to merge it, or you can click on the upper layer, merge down or merge visible. You can use to merge the layer. Let's see if we have any light bleed in this image, because especially that light bleed occurs onto the window area, so there is no light bleed. We can move on to the next one. Let's use the white balance. So for white balance, we guys always use color curves over here. So first of all, create a duplicate of this one, the background layer. You can click on Ctrl J also to duplicate it. Press Ctrl M while select the upper layer and press Ctrl M, which will open the curves. Now, while holding Ctrl Shift, click on a midtone area. Like this is the midtone, I think. Click on it, and now over here you see red, red, which is 179, green 168, blue 166. That means red is the highest value. I'm going to copy this value and I'm going to paste it on the both one, because red is the highest among all three colors. This one. Now you can see Control F3 red, Control F4 green, Control F5 blue. So these are the shortcuts. Press OK. You can switch on and off to see what cast you have got. So over here the green is gradually increasing, so I'm not going to use the color cast over here. Click on the mask, again Control I, take white brush because we have to reveal what settings we have applied and onto this layer. First of all, I'm going to apply over here. Okay, looks nice. If I switch on and off, okay, this is good. Let's merge it. Control E. Now we have to balance the color. As I said, that we have to see what kind of color we have on the wood. For this one, we can open our Lightroom again and click on the darker part of this image. So this is our darker part over here. We can zoom it or zoom out if you audience whatever you think is fine. So I'm zooming out at this moment. I'm looking at the wood. Go back to the Photoshop. Okay, so again take a copy. Now I'm going to go to filter, camera filter, And from here I'm going to go to basic one. From here, decrease vibrance. See, look at it. You can see that excess yellow is like going off from that area, and a bit of contrast, slight, with a bit of tint. Tint is going to add a bit of redness to the wood, and highlight slight down. If some details got messed up while applying the brightness, the highlight can reveal it, and slightly exposure down, slight blacks and shadows maybe. Okay, now again create mask, control I, take the white brush and apply these settings onto the wood. Okay, looking good. Again merge it, control E. Now let's look at the overall image, looking good. Okay, now we are going to reduce the noise. Again we have to take the copy of the background layer, go to the filter, camera filter, zoom in onto the area so you can better understand what's happening when you are moving up the sliders. Go down, select the details. From here increase noise reduction over here. Okay, and maybe slide down detail. Okay, create mask layer, control I to invert. Again take the white brush, and this time you can increase the opacity because this is not that we are applying the brightness, we are just removing the noise. So you can take the 40-50 brush, but always try to keep in mind this thing that whenever you are reducing the grains from an image, never apply that settings onto the textured area, because wall is plain, there is no texture over here. You can simply apply like 80 or 90 brush even also over here to remove the grains, but do not apply onto the tiles. That is going to wash out the details of it. See, in between how I'm doing over here. You can also do the same thing over here, and if I switch on and off, you can see that all the grains have been removed now. Now we are going to merge it. So after removing grains, we see that some area have become very soft. So to get the details out there, you can again create the copy of the layer. Go to filter, sharpen, and sharp mask. Try to see that your values is like 160, radius 2, and threshold supposed to be 0. Press OK. Look at it, see the result. It is not like that I'm going to leave it as it is overall. I'm going to selectively use it on certain areas. Like first of all, you can apply the you know uh, sharpness onto the floor, because this is as it is a wooden floor. it have grooves into it. So if you will apply the sharpness, it will give a bump kind of texture onto it. So apply it, slide onto here, onto the photos stand, and over here onto the wood again, tiles. Let's switch on off. Okay, this is fine. Merge it. Step 12, item removal. So as I said that we have to remove the clips. For this one, I have to activate the stamp tool from here. While pressing hold, click, I take the area and start removing it. So I've removed all the clips, and coming to this patch. For this one, I'm simply going to cut this area. Control J, Control T to shift it out here. Distort, and let's take the brush after creating the mask layer, and selectively using to get to reveal the area and remove, which is actually removing the patch. Merge it again, stamp and remove it. So I have rectified the patch from here. Zoom out. Okay, so this is what we have to edit. Now it's time to move on to step 13, which is self-curate. In this step, we are going to see and we are going to check the color from the raw image, that what that image like color have, and if there is a need of brightness, if there is a need of color balance anywhere, that is what we are going to do. So let's check the raw image. Let's check the, okay, this one. Let's open the Photoshop. Okay, this is looking fine. Slight, I think warmth is quite over here, and slight warmth need to be removed from here. So for this one, I'm taking the copy of the background layer. Go to filter, camera filter over here. Go to basic, apply temperature, highlights down. Okay, mask, Control I to invert. Take the brush and add up the things. Slight warmth onto here, even over here, slight warmth. Okay, Control E to merge. Again, Control J to create a duplicate, go to filter, camera raw filter, and from here slight temperature down, slight vibrance, tint up, because I have to match both the cabinets. So I'm doing these things, and okay. Now create the mask, Control I to invert, take the brush and apply these settings. Click on and off. Control E to merge, brightness, increase slight brightness over here. Okay. Control I to invert, take the brush, I'm opening the curves adjustment layer and putting it down. Control I to invert. Take a rough selection of the colored wall and take the brush and slight darken it. Slight, very slight. This much is fine. Okay. Control E to merge. Now I have self QA'd my image, which is looking good enough. It's not looking that big because I haven't brightened up this area. The floor is looking well enough. The colors well and good, and I don't see enough noise into my picture. So now we will move on to the step 14, and this is the last step. In this step, we are going to resize the image. To get it resized, we have to go to image and image size. And from here, we have to switch on the link area to link the to constrain the ratio aspect ratio of this image and put it 2500. It will show 167. Sometimes it doesn't show proper 167. It may be less or up. So by clicking this one off, you can make it 1667. Now press OK. So this is the final image, and we are going to save it with 12% quality and OK. Thank you.